I'm Jake Chapman. My real name is Chauncey.
My name is Edward Pollyi. I go by Ed. I'm 92 years old. I'm a native Iowan.
My name is Robert Gates. I go by Bob. I'm 90 years old.
Got married before I left. We were together about 8 weeks. When I got back, we had a boy, and I now have 2 boys, 2 girls. My oldest boy is 68. That makes me recognize that I'm old. Papa's fine.
You don't look old.
I am old.
The reason I ended up in Korea was we went to high school, myself and my buddies, during World War II, and then we had all these veterans coming back after World War II that had not received their high school diplomas, and they were World War II veterans. So we had decided, our group of boys, there were 5 of us, that what we would do when we graduated from high school would join the Marine Corps. So we did in 1949. We didn't know the Korean War was going to start in 1950. Well, we might have changed our minds.
I ended up in Korea because that's where Uncle Sam sent me. Well, at that time, I don't think many people in the United States knew much about Korea, the peninsula of Korea, until the war broke out. We had just finished a few years before World War II, where U.S. soldiers and Marines and Air Force and Navy served all over the world, and that was one of the wars that was going to end all wars, but the North Koreans had different thoughts. So
The boat pulled up to the dock. We got on it. When we got off, we were in Korea.
That's how that ended up. They just randomly picked Korea and they stopped you.
We used to sit on the beach in California and watch ships go out quite frequently. And we knew that I eventually was going to be on one of those. I don't know, she always supported me. She never did argue about what I was going to do.
of 1952, I had my orders for Korea. I went to Korea in early 1953. I was in a unit called Skarwolf, Special Category Army with Air Force. We were Army engineers under Air Force jurisdiction. Our company's task was to maintain the heavy equipment that was used to build the airfields.
Finally, we did succeed in doing what we were sent there for, but we lost a lot of good American soldiers and Marines and Navy personnel in the Korean War.
And I always carried a picture in my helmet. And there at the end, I'd look at that picture and it didn't seem real. I thought, I know this gal. I don't know, it was, you kind of forgot about it. You're busy thinking about other things.
With the wife.
I lost one of my good buddies that I enlisted with. His name was Robert Long, and I still think about him often, how he gave his life back in 1951 and didn't get to live out his life. He was a young man, as we were both. I was 19 when I went to Korea, and so it's a staggering, what I want to say, time to go through, to be in combat and see your buddies die and you survive. And sometimes you wonder, why me? And why did I survive and why did they expire? But I guess that's the way life is. So
We have a museum here. A lot of grade school people come. They don't know much about history. The 5th and 6th grade, they don't know about the European War. They certainly don't remember Korea. They called it the Forgotten War. I'm not sure who ever thought that up, but I know the veterans never forgot it. The South Korean government has done a terrific job in acknowledging and appreciating what the UN forces did. They started sponsoring revisit, what they call a revisit trip. And veterans could go to South Korea. I went back in 2014. They paid half of my airfare. After I got to Seoul, we landed at Incheon. After I got to Seoul, we were housed at the five-star hotel. South Korean government paid for everything. They showed us every day we had something to do, and we got to see the demilitarized zone. Did not recognize anything.
People in Korea are quite thankful for what the United Nations did back in 1953, 51 to 53, or 50 to 53. I know the older generation of Koreans are quite thankful for what happened back then, and I'm glad to see that it's carried on into your generation.
Well, I'm proud of my service. I spent 7 years in the Marine Corps, both in active duty and reserve. And like I say, I went to Korea and fought with the United Nations, and I'm proud of what I did, and we were successful in what we did.
Thank you.
Yeah.
대한민국의 아픈 역사인 6.25 전쟁 때 수많은 미군들께서 참전을 해주셨다고 들었어요. 내 나라가 아닌 다른 나라의 전쟁에 참가를 한다는 것이 정말 어려운 일인데 내 나라처럼 이렇게 목숨 바쳐서 전쟁에서 싸워주셨던 많은 분들 정말 감사드립니다. 덕분에 저도 이렇게 평범한 일상을 살아가고 있는 것 같습니다.
Growing, eating, studying, and even dreaming, all these are only possible after you guys' sacrifice and devotion.
Without your efforts, my family and friends wouldn't have lived as freely as they do now in Korea. Of course, the same goes for me. I can't imagine how much courage it would take to go to war in a country other than your homeland.
제가 현재 누리고 있는 것들이 단순히 이뤄진 게 아니라는 거를 느끼게 되면서 항상 감사함을 느끼고 있었습니다.
저희 나라를 위해서 희생해 주시고 전쟁에 참여해서 피와 땀을 흘리는 그런 전투를 해주신 참전 용사분들에게 이렇게 감사 인사를 드릴 수 있는 기회가 있다고 해서 이렇게 영상으로 인사드리게 되었습니다. 그 당시에 그런 희생이 없었다면 저희 나라가 이렇게 평화롭게 살 수 없었다고 생각이 들어요.
6.25 참전용사분들이 아니었으면 대한민국이 이렇게 발전할 수 없었고 우리도 지금 이렇게 편하게 살 수 없었을 것입니다.
참전용사분들의 노고와 희생에 감사의 말씀 전해드립니다. 기억하며 감사한 마음으로 살겠습니다.
What a country you guys have been trying to save looks like now.
대한민국의 모습을 지켜주시고 또 만들어주셔서 감사하다는 말씀을 드리고 싶습니다.
오늘날 한국의 번영이 참전용사분들과 그들의 가족분들의 희생에 의해서 얻어진 것임을 절대 잊지 않겠습니다.
저희는 당신과 당신의 가족 그리고 사랑하는 사람들의 희생에 정말 감사드립니다.
지금 저희가 누리는 자유와 평등 그리고 평범한 일상들은 당신의 소중한 젊음이었다는 것을 저희는 정말 잊지 않았습니다. 진심으로 감사합니다.
I will never forget the importance of this freedom and life you gave me. Thank you for your service.
감사합니다. Thank you for your service.
감사합니다. Thank you for your service. Thank you.
Thank you for your service. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for your service.
감사합니다. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service.
감사합니다. Thank you for your service.
Thank you so much for your service.
Thank you for your service. We'll never forget your sacrifice.